¿Qué tal amigos? ¿Cómo están? Bienvenidos una vez más al canal. El día de hoy vamos a estar hablando de uno de mis proyectos favoritos de Polkadot, Subsocial. Es una red social descentralizada, más bien infraestructura para redes sociales descentralizadas. Y bueno, tenemos aquí al equipo, tenemos a Young Beef y tenemos a Georgie. Georgie sí habla español. Young Beef también un poco. Pero
Ah,
bueno, ahora ya vamos a estar haciéndoles algunas preguntas, pero bueno, first of all, Young, how are you doing? I hope you're doing well. Thanks for coming on the channel.
Yeah, doing pretty good. Thanks for having me for sure.
Nice. Georgie, how are you? Where are you located now?
now I'm in the Hard Rock Hotel, and we prepare the event tomorrow for Polkadot. So I'm here with all team.
Claro. Para los que no sepan, bueno, en este momento está pasando en Madrid, Polkadot World, que es un evento de Polkadot. Pero bueno, vamos a darle en inglés, vamos a hacer algunas preguntas del proyecto de Subsocial, cómo ha estado avanzando. First of all, maybe can you guys introduce yourselves on what do you do or what is your involvement with Subsocial? Maybe
Yeah,
Young.
so I'm Young Beef. I'm the content lead and the community manager. So I write all of our blog posts. You probably see me around in Discord and Telegram. I'm also active on Twitter. I'll also do some business development, a lot of other things too. But yeah, that's the main stuff.
Nice. What about you, Georgie? What are you involved
En
in Subsocial?
español, bueno, yo soy Jordi Ivanov, represento subsocial, soy embajador y community para la comunidad hispana.
Bien. All right. And can you, any of you guys tell me what's the status, the current status of Subsocial? What have you been up to the last few months?
Yeah, so lately from a blockchain side, they've been working on staking, getting validators set up. I think that's about ready to go. I think we're waiting to release that for a little while. About a month ago, we got a treasury proposal funded for sub ID. As part of that, we're going to build like a staking dashboard and staking tools on sub ID. And so with that, that will be our UI to allow people to stake so they don't have to go through the Polkadot.js. So I think we're waiting for that to release staking.
Is that grant from Polkadot or from
Kusama.
From Kusama? Nice.
Kusama Treasury, yeah, it's like 9,000 KSM. What was I going to say? We so our parachain auction slot ends in like a month and a half. But about a month ago, we self-bid like 1,000 KSM to get another 6 slots, I think. So until like next August or so, I think. And sometime before then, we'll reevaluate if we want to try to follow Kilt to Polkadot or stay on Kusama. Aside from that, the big thing has been the Spacers NFT collection, which we can talk all about here.
Oh, for sure, for sure. What about the plans that you were planning to launch 2 chains? Right now, it's currently 1 chain, and you're running on Kusama. That's correct.
Yeah, originally what the 2 chains was, we had the Kusama parachain, and then we also had a solo chain that wasn't a parachain.
Mm-hmm.
We basically got rid of that. It didn't provide that many advantages for how confusing it was and the extra technical work involved. Basically the only reason to do that is because parachains are a little slower in terms of block time right now. But that's going to get fixed at some point in the future. And we basically just hid that delay in the back end. So when you do something on the website, it shows up on the UI right away. And if the transaction fails or something, a message will pop up. But as far as the user's concerned, slow block times is not really an issue.
All right. And you just mentioned an NFT collection that you're doing. Can you deep dive in what's that about?
Yeah, so they're called the Spacers. The public sale just started on the 1st of November. So it's 10,000 NFTs. That is a lot, and especially with the current market conditions, we're not expecting to sell out. That was not part of the plan, but we're thinking, 5 to 10 years down the road. So we wanted to have a large collection that could grow in the future. So we're using Remark 2 technology, so the NFTs can equip other NFTs. So depending on the rarity, so we have 4 rarities. They're called Marine, Officer, Captain, and Admiral. Admiral being the most rare. So depending on the rarity, the number of equipable slots changes. I think we're the first project to do this. So the most common NFTs, the Marines, they have 6 slots that can equip items, and the Admirals have 9. And then they all have 4 fixed items. So there's a head, a body, a hand, and then like a belt or a sash thing. So that's pretty cool. The big thing with those is the utility. So there's a couple easy ones that we'll be able to implement. Like owning one will give you access to some premium features on Sub ID, like the ability to make your account private on there. The really cool ones, we're going to have to wait until in the future we add the Remark palettes to the subsocial chain, and we can move the Spacer NFTs onto our chain. But the coolest one there will be that owning a Spacer will give you some free energy every day. And energy lets you post on subsocial and like things, do stuff basically without using any sub tokens. So if you're a creator that uses subsocial, you definitely want to get one of those.
Nice. And what about how long is the sale gonna go for? Is there a time where it will be off sale?
Yeah, so no, December 20th is the cutoff date. After that, 70% of the unsold Spacer pods. So a little side note, we're selling Spacer pods right now, sort of like Canaria eggs. And then in the future, the pods will open and the actual Spacer NFTs will come out. So any pods that aren't sold in the sale, 70% of them will go to the Spacer DAO treasury. So sort of like we're going to use the Daoist CDK technology from the Invarge team to really make it like an on-chain DAO with a treasury for the NFT collection. The other 30% will go to the subsocial team for some future fundraising or, marketing, giveaways, partnerships, that sort of thing.
Nice. And so what's the overall goal of the NFT collection? Is it part to build a community for subsocial? What are the plans for the funds to go for building, like you said, or what are the main goal, would you say?
Yeah, I'm going to be posting an article next week. Probably be out by the time this video is out, called The Spacer's Vision. It's going to outline all of that. But basically, it was, with blockchains and crypto, like it's really a big community focus. Projects tend to either live or die because of their community, and especially with us building a social network, that's sort of like a twofold effect there. It's extra important. And then with the NFT community, it's also very important as well. So by doing this, we can sort of amplify the community effects. And having some sort of cool like profile picture type NFT, people can sort of kind of make that their digital identity, increase their involvement in the community there. And so owning a Spacer will give you additional NFT utility with subsocial. We call it a VIP ticket to the subsocial ecosystem. And then as a result of that, the subsocial project in general benefits because of the Spacers and can provide additional utility back to the Spacers in the future, or just sort of act as a big marketing arm for the collection. So it's sort of a synergistic, positive feedback loop where everyone wins.
Nice. So, Young, can you tell me a little bit about what's your future plans for Subsocial? We have the app right now. Many people get confused with that. What is there any plans for any other apps to be launched? I already know that you had a hackathon and there was some apps built there. Do you have any plans to come into fruition to some other social networks or apps running on subsocial chain?
Yeah, so I'm still pushing to get our web app renamed.
Mm-hmm.
Been doing that for like a year now. I know it's confusing. Um, so we did have that hackathon. A couple people competed, but I think after that they kind of all left and no one kept building. But we just figured out just recently, it was included in our October in review article we posted today. Someone or a group of people in the Italian community have built a blog for the Polkadot Arena, and that pulls all the content on the website is pulled off of Subsocial.
Uh-huh.
So that's actually the very first third-party website that is not built by us that is connected to Subsocial. So that's a really big development. It's still kind of a work in progress. I don't think they're totally finished with it yet, but super cool to see. Promising. We are planning on building another standalone web app for the spacers, sort of a not as much of like a social network, but still kind of like a social website that focuses on the collection as a whole. And each spacer will have its own web page where you can see it in like a really big, large size, and like details about it and who owns it, that sort of thing.
And what about collaborations with any other parent chains? Do you have anything like that in mind or happening right now?
Yeah, we've been doing a whole lot of brainstorming about that recently, getting a lot of cool ideas written down. We're starting to talk with some other people, especially in regards to .sama domain integrations with, like wallets, for example, as a naming system. So we're definitely trying to work on that as sort of, sticking your roots out into as many different projects as you can, so to speak, really increase the value of the project itself.
For sure. For sure. Yeah, that's definitely something that would be interesting to see the subsocial branch spread out through the whole .sama ecosystem. Uh, Going back a little bit to the NFTs, I wanted to ask you, where can people purchase them? Because I think I didn't ask you that.
Yeah, good question. So the URL is pods.spacers.app. If you go to just spacers.app, it's sort of a landing page for the collection with some details. You can see the launch trailer that was made by Monty Crypto for us. It's really cool. And yeah, so on the sale page, the sale is taking place on Moonriver, so you'll need mover tokens.
Okay.
And we have partner codes that you can use. And there's a page in our documentation. There's a link on the sale page to it, but basically we partnered with like 40 projects in the ecosystem. So one of the equipable items that a spacious can wear is like a little shoulder patch with the logo on it. So we took the logos from all these projects and turned them into shoulder patches. So if you purchase a spacer and you use their partner code for that project, then once the pod opens, we're going to airdrop all of those patches to the people that use the codes, and you'll be able to equip those, and that will basically enter you into the spacer squad for that project. So that's going to be sort of like a sub community within a spacer DAO, to help with organization. And then that project could do, airdrops to the people in the spacer squad or ask them for feedback on a beta feature or something like that. So we think it'll be pretty cool. A lot of possibilities there.
Nice. And I saw a little bit about a possible spacer DAO being created with this collection.
Yeah, so we just opened the Discord server for that today or yesterday. So right now it's pretty basic, just a couple channels. The spacer pods aren't technically NFTs due to how the smart contracts are set up, so we can't do any role systems yet. But once the spacers are out, we'll be able to automate that with some Discord bots. So we'll get it where we have different channels, and you can have roles depending on the rarity of the spacer you own. And then, as I mentioned earlier, we want to use the Daoist CDK technology from Invarch. So that will really sort of level up the Discord server. We'll be able to run on-chain governance through the Discord server, treasury management, a lot of really cool stuff there.
Nice. Do you plan to build any DAO tooling inside Subsocial, for example?
We've talked about it a lot, but now looking at what the Invarch team is doing and how fleshed out their system is that they're making it, obviously still need to see, but I would not be surprised if we just end up integrating their technology as like a management for spaces and stuff, because that's seems like it would be a great fit to be able to have treasuries for each space and as many different owners as you want, like multi-sig features, all of that stuff. I mean, that's sort of the whole bullish case for Dot right? Like we can do what we're good at, they can build that, and then we just integrate and it works.
Yeah, for sure. So maybe to wrap up, I wanted to ask you, what can we expect from Subsocial in the next 6 months to 1 year? What would you say it's something that excites you the most?
Definitely integrations with other projects, I think. I mean, the Polkadot ecosystem and Kusama it feels like it's been moving really slow over the last 2 years. But we're finally getting to the point where the relay chains have the technology out that all the teams need to really start to be able to build cool stuff. So we can really, showcase the strengths of the ecosystem and technology by building these cross-chain integrations. And so I'm really excited to see those.
Yeah, that's definitely gonna be interesting. As even more parachains come to life, definitely is gonna be a really complex and an interesting ecosystem to see. What would you say? Also, I wanted to ask you about. There's a lot of like loud noises through all the social medias about decentralization, about censorship. How important do you think it's right now a solution like Subsocial compared to pre 2020, before everyone started to get like censored like actively? What do you think about like Elon Musk and other people trying to build their own social medias because of this kind of thing like censorship?
Yeah, with the Elon buying Twitter thing is definitely interesting. And we'll have to see what happens there. But so that may sort of get rid of people being censored on Twitter, so to speak. But I mean, there's still multiple other problems like monetization and algorithms and stuff, and then obviously you still have everything that Meta's involved with that still has all the problems. So there's still definitely a need for subsocial. And yeah, in regards to decentralization, we're still working on that. Working on getting the chain decentralized, validators up and running, moving all of our storage from our IPFS node to cross network, most likely.
And lastly, I wanted to say, because I think this is the closest project to Subsocial, what do you think about Lens protocol? How could you compare it with Subsocial? Because I think they have pretty good similarities, and I think Subsocial was the first mover, but these guys have a little bit. They have Aave behind them. That's a well established project. So, what do you think about them? Do you think there's differences between these two protocols?
Yeah, Lens definitely has a whole lot of resources. So they've been building pretty quick, but we put out a article on our blog back in March, I think, talking about Lens and a couple other projects, DeSo, Steemit, and Hive. I think Steemit was actually the first social Web3 project. But the advantage we have over Lens is they're running on a jack of all trades chain. It's basically just an application built on top of a chain, so they give up a lot of control versus with us being our own custom built chain. There's a lot of functionality that we can do because the chain is specifically made for this. And on top of that, being built as substrate, that by itself enables us to do a lot of other options that's not that they can't do because they're using Solidity and smart contracts.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. Not only like possibly limitations of substrate of Solidity, but also like the limitations of these chains that are multi-use and they can get plugged sometimes pretty quickly. So that's great to hear. I think there's really good chances for subsocial to compete and beat Lens protocol, and I hope this happens. I think it has a really good spot right now in the Sama ecosystem, being the official social network, I would say, and hopefully this continues to grow. I don't know if you want to add something else. First of all, maybe where can people find more information about subsocial and about the NFT collection? And maybe you want to say some words to wrap it up.
Yeah, you can go to Subsocial's website at subsocial.network. Our web app is at app.subsocial.network. So you can go on there, read all of the content on Subsocial. But yeah, we're still building, you know, bear market, heads down building, working on decentralization, not sacrificing good tech for a short-term thing. You know, we have a long-term vision. We want to solve these problems with the Web2 social medias, you know, so that's what we're building towards.
Nice. I'm definitely excited to see the evolution of social media with blockchain in the next month. So hopefully we can keep in touch. In the next months, we'll do another podcast, and thanks for your time, man.
Yeah, gracias.
Gracias.
Adios.